For anyone studying international economics, it was well known that the sugar agreement, the preferential price agreement with Europe would be compromised because of the new WTO that came on stream in '95. Okay? So there were going to be conflicts. And indeed, so because of that, what you want to do is perhaps not go deeper into sugar. Well, it doesn't mean we have to close the sugar industry down. Okay? It means to basically use this asset to produce alternative commodities, and one of which we are bullish on, ethanol, and other things. Okay? So, and today, it is clear for everyone to see the problem with the sugar factory. Okay? It's not producing at capacity. It has major problems with the boilers. But those are unexpected problems that showed up. As I said, I believe if you're going to transform yourself and transform the economy, we have to produce things and goods that are at the high end of the global hierarchy of products. And energy is one of those. Okay? Anything that deals with energy, whether it's renewable energy, it's one of those. And ethanol, gas, electricity, which is cogeneration. These are all examples of renewable energy, because as people get richer, okay, one of the things they want is an air conditioning. They want air conditioning in their rooms. They want a car. They want to go on vacation. So to do those things, you have to consume energy. But as our living standards increase, we don't consume more sugar. Okay? Okay? I use the same. If my income increases, I get a job promotion. As a matter of fact, I want to get more slim because, so I probably will use less sugar. Okay? So, but I want to travel, I want a car. So that is, we are bullish on ethanol, and we have a plan how we will make ethanol work in Guyana. Okay? It's not the only idea we have, by the way. But it's just an easy one. It's just so easy, so clear cut, in my opinion. So Skeldon today is a major problem, and we have to address it. And now Skeldon has become a sunk cost. It's there, and we are given a bad hand. The Alliance for Change wins this election, we have a bad hand, so we have to take it and save it. And one of the things we will not do with Skeldon is give a contract to another shady builder to fix something. It has to be done properly. Okay? Now, another problem for the slow growth is something called a backward production structure. Well, any economy that is not transformed typically has a backward production structure. You basically cut your logs, you don't do any major processing, you send the logs abroad. You grow rice paddy and you send it to Venezuela, and we are happy. Okay? There is no value added here. That's what we mean by backward production structure. And as many of you know, Guyana wants to produce refrigerators, a radio called Greco, and so on. So we used to have a fear. I look at the data, we had a fairly decent manufacturing sector in the 70s, up to the mid-80s. So we cannot, if you cannot achieve fast growth by producing these primary commodities. Right now, we have good luck growth, and we have good luck growth because the gold price is now $16.66, the last price I saw yesterday evening, last I checked it. Gold price, $1,666 US per ounce. It would have changed by this morning. I didn't get to check it. It was busy. But as the US economy improves, which it will, gold price will come back down to $300-400. So we have to bear these things in mind. So we cannot only be dependent on commodities. Perhaps we need more usage of the gold at home for manufacturing and so on. So in other words, growth will always be slow. Growth will be uncertain. It will be susceptible to foreign shocks. The more your backward your production structure is. Now, why is public investment so inefficient? I'd like to get your feedback on this. But in my opinion, one of the reasons why public investments in this country is so inefficient, and if you could remember the chart, public investment is increasing, but yet we're not growing as fast as we'd like, has to do with outsourcing of government operations. Okay? Now, this is a tricky issue because outsourcing is is used by the business world, and anyone who goes to business school will know, you learn about how outsourcing saves costs for a business. Well, it probably seems to have been a good idea for the government to outsource contracts to people to do things. For Gaisuku, instead of owning the trucks and having the trucks, to outsource it to someone to transport the workers, or for Gaisuku to outsource major components and parts of its operation. But in Guyana, unfortunately, and the Kaito News, you have to give great credit to, has done a great job exposing some of the overbilling of buildings and so on. And I believe that outsourcing in Guyana has had a perverse outcome. It's perverse for several reasons, because it has an incentive problem. Because if the government is actually doing public works, the public works ministry by itself, it employs engineers, it owns some of the machines and so on. And I'm not saying you can do away with all outsourcing, but at some point, if the government owns some of these things, it will have to transfer some of the money that is leading to overbilling, if you want to call it kickbacks. Let's do that. But you can actually transform some of those funds to the government operations. Now, we're always told, well, do you have the evidence of corruption? And we have an auditor general. Well, overbilling and kickbacks are never recorded in the official accounts. I mean, right? So we have to be, we believe that we can, it might be possible to save from this. And contractors, a contractor might be looking at saving materials and so on materials, and may not get the work done to the level and at the quality by which we want. And the World Bank did do a study estimating 25% corruption. I don't know how they got that data, that number, but an estimate. So if we can insource some operations where we force people to have the numbers on the books, so that when anybody do wrong things, we can find them and jail them and punish them for corruption. So perhaps insourcing might be a way to replace some outsourcing. Now, we cannot insource all government operations. We will ultimately have to outsource things. But I believe that we have to look at the way this thing has had an incentive problem in Guyana. Now, I want to talk about two positives on the job deal, and I'll give him credit for two things. I think the exchange rate remains stable since 2004, and that's a good thing for us. I have explained in my academic work and in columns of Standard News why this stabilization occurred, and part of it had to do with the way the Bank of Guyana is managing the money supply of the economy. And so if Xavier is president, it's required under him, so give him credit for that. But it also has to do with the structure of the economy. For example, for you to have destabilization of the exchange rate, you need to have hot money inflows, and we don't have those types of money. Meaning, a hot money inflow will be a lot of foreign bank deposits into Guyana, foreign money invested into a stock exchange, and you know the stock exchange is not doing very well, or foreign money is invested in the bond markets in Guyana. As you know, the bond market in Guyana is moribund, it's virtually non-existent. So these hot monies or portfolio investments do not come into Guyana. So therefore, if they don't come in, they do not flow out overnight. Portfolio investments can come in and they're footloose, they can go off overnight. It was the portfolio investments that led to the Asian financial crisis after the problem with the baht, the Thai baht in '97. So there is that thing that is saving the economy. On the other hand, a large part of our inflow is something called remittances. It's about 40% of GDP. Okay? Now remittance, one academic paper on Guyana, this was done on Guyana, published in a very reputable journal, by the way, did a survey on Guyanese sending back money home. And they found that Guyanese do this for altruistic reasons. Meaning that even if people are unemployed over there, for some time they'll still send some money home. Right? So Guyanese abroad really love their families. It's altruism. They want to find out, do they send money home for investment purposes or altruistic reasons. And the study found altruism. So if people, even when you have recessions abroad, and Guyana is affected by this recession, you still having a guaranteed inflow. So remittances, according to the BOG data, what is covered, 300 million US from their surveys. And as you know, that's an underestimation because it doesn't include the gifts, the face-to-face gifts, and of course borrowed trades and so on. So that has also helped us. But you know, remittance has another side to it, and for Guyanese to send back money, they have to leave. And unfortunately, 89%, according to the World Bank, of our skilled graduates leave. So, so you cannot have this economic transformation if you don't have many skilled people. You don't have engineers and people doing agricultural research, and you don't have skilled accountants and business leaders and so on. Okay. So, so while remittance may save us and help us to keep the exchange rate at certain levels, it has a bad outcome, which is people have to leave, and some of our most trained people. I think the housing development is a positive thing, and the thing is that there are ways to improve it, and many ways by which we can improve it. And we in our action plan, we do have a housing sector, a housing section policy that I urge you to read it. I would not go through it tonight. But one of the things that we would like to see happening, however, is things to uplift the human spirit. So if you're going to have a housing scheme, at least make sure it's properly drained and you have a green park. These things don't take a lot of money, proper landscaping and so on. So we believe that housing can be done better, okay, a lot better. And and I give him a B grade for that, and I think we can push it up to an A. I have no doubt we can. And I urge you to read our policies and plans, how we will make it up to an A grade. Now, so how are we different? How is our economic strategy different from the PPPs? Well, Jamio's economic strategy more or less can be encapsulated by the low carbon development strategy. And I'm confident when I say that the low carbon development strategy is misplaced, and I call it handout economics. And the low carbon our economic strategy will be jobs economics, because we're about jobs, 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 jobs. And we have to find ways to create jobs for people and quit being a job. Structural transformation, as I keep saying, right? Now, I'll give you some examples why I call the low carbon development strategy handout economics. Well, one example would be the one laptop per family program. Now, everybody wants to see children have access to computers. Okay, we have, but laptops in particular, as you know, tend to depreciate and destroy. You know, they break up within 3 years or about 3 years, right? And so, especially if you have power fluctuations and so on. So what's going to happen at the end of this program is we would have spent $30 million US, and after 90,000 laptops, people still don't have jobs, right? So the way we would have done it is we would have made sure the money was spent on perhaps fabricating some of those computers in Guyana. If we have to import some foreign laborers, have an immigration policy and get them to come here. And so about 30% of the employees have to be Guyanese or must be Guyanese. Because we want to have skills transfer, technology transfer, right? That's one of the ways the Koreans and the Taiwanese, Singaporeans did it. Okay? So if you're going to take that risk, well, why not make sure that some part of it is done in Guyana? Or the way manufacturing is done today around the world is no longer agglomeration. Agglomeration means that you put together the whole thing in one place. Now, the way manufacturing is done around the world is through outsourcing, right? You have vendors, which gives you components, right? So for a laptop, for example, this casing may have been built in Taiwan. The chip, of course, may come from Taiwan also, but